Hey everyone, this is Michael again, and welcome to the Monday Night Raw review. And tonight's Raw was from the Bell Center in Montreal, in Canada. And this was night one of the Superstar Shakeup, where, the superstars from either brands, Raw, SmackDown, 205 Live, NXT, they get to go to those shows. Or, for 205 Live or NXT, they get to go to, Raw or SmackDown. It was just like, the WWE Draft back in the day, which, to me, back in the day, the WWE Draft, meant something. It was like a surprise to its fans, because we didn't know, which superstar was going to Raw, which superstar was going to SmackDown. It was just a whole big surprise back in the day, and I really liked it. I mean, with this Superstar Shakeup, you don't know who's, going to Raw or SmackDown. It could be a 205 Live guy, it could be an NXT superstar. So you don't know. But, when the draft was done back in the day, you had, like, certain superstars, like on the screen, on the TV, and it would show like a superstar, and then, it would show, who would go to Raw or SmackDown. And I kind of liked how the way WWE did the draft back in the day, and I wish they would still do it, which the draft that they did back then was done much better than the Superstar Shakeup. So, but yeah, I missed the draft that they always did back in the day. So let's get on with this Raw review. I mean, this Raw tonight, this Raw was just like every other week. It was another shitty show. This show was a disaster tonight. It really was a disaster. And it was also boring also. So let's get started with this Raw review. So the show opened up tonight with Stephanie McMahon coming out, and she was welcoming the crowd to Raw, and also welcoming us to the Superstar Shakeup. And she tells the crowd to get up and welcome her brother, Shane McMahon. Yes, Shane was on Raw tonight. So Shane ends up coming out, crowd boos him, and of course, just like he does with Greg Hamilton on SmackDown, he got, Raw ring announcer Mike Rome to introduce him, with the whole, best in the world, Shane McMahon. So he got Mike Rome to do that, just like how he does, Greg Hamilton on SmackDown. And, Shane says, let's do it again. And we had CM Punk chants. CM Punk chants rang out. And we had Shane speaking like in French. He was saying something like in French. And he goes on to say that the best in the world is good in any language. And, the crowd was chanting, "You suck. You suck," to Shane. And then Stephanie ended up retaliating, saying to the crowd, "Oh, Kurt Angle had his final match, and he lost." And Stephanie says, right now on Raw and until the very end of SmackDown, every superstar is subject to shake-up and change. So Stephanie tries to go to introduce the first superstar, to come to Raw in this shake-up, and has revealed that The Miz is now on Raw. So The Miz is the first superstar in the shake-up to go to Raw. So Miz comes out. He comes out of nowhere. He beats the he beats the hell out of Shane. And, you know, we saw Shane end up ramming Miz into the ring post. And, you know, he starts punching Miz against the barricade before clotheslining him into the crowd. And the Miz came back. He got a chair. He ended up nailing Shane with it. And, you know, the Miz's face was, you know, busted up. He was bleeding from the face, on the side of his face. So Miz comes to Raw. You know, he starts beating up on Shane with the chair, and already, you know, he's busted open. You know, bleeding from the face. So, and that's how the other segment ended. But the segment was just meh with Stephanie and Shane. And then, you know, the Miz, you know, coming to Raw in the shakeup, you know, was surprising. We didn't know. You know, we didn't know that, you know, Miz was gonna, you know, come back to Raw in the shakeup. So then we had the first match, which was a 8-man tag team match. It was Curt Hawkins, Zack Ryder, Aleister Black and Ricochet versus the Revival, and a tag team that was in NXT, and that was the War Raiders. But WWE has to fuck up their name. Instead of calling them War Raiders like in NXT, they called them oh my god, this is so fucking stupid. What a stupid ass name that I'm gonna reveal to what they're calling the War Raiders now on the main roster on Raw. They're calling themselves now. Sorry about that, but as I was saying, they're now calling the War Raiders on the main roster. The War Raiders are Hanson and Rowe. They are the NXT Tag Team Champions. They're calling them the Viking Experience. Oh my god. What kind of fucking idiot in WWE Creative came up with this name? Who the fuck came up with this name for the War Raiders? You know what? I'm not even going to call them the Viking Experience. I'm still going to call them the War Raiders. And any of you who like that they're calling the War Raiders the Viking Experience now, if you all like that, there is something wrong with you. Seriously. The Viking Experience. Whoever came up with this must have been on crack in WWE Creative. But yeah, there you go. The War Raiders. They're called the Viking Experience. Stupid ass fucking name. Oh yeah, how about we get, oh yeah, the Rawful Experience. Yeah, because this Raw show, we should call it the Rawful Experience because it's Rawful every single fucking week. Ah, man, but the match itself, you know, it wasn't bad. It was okay. It was a little entertaining. I mean, the War Raiders, you know, I really like them down in NXT, and they didn't even show up. How did they relinquish the NXT Tag Team Championships? There's no explanation. Unless they're gonna something's gonna go on NXT where they relinquished the titles. Who knows? But the War Raiders, they were entertaining here. Really enjoyed them, and they ended up getting the win. They ended up pinning their signature move, finisher, which is called the Fallout, on Zack Ryder to score the win. So the Revival and the War Raiders win the match. Fuck calling them the Viking Experience. Such a shitty, stupid, corny name. It sounds like they took it. It sounds like a porno film. It sounds like either Vince McMahon or somebody in WWE Creative went into a porn shop and they saw, you know, porno films on the wall, and they see the Viking Experience, and they're like, oh yeah, let's bring up the War Raiders and let's call them the Viking Experience. Fucking dumb. Fucking dumb shit. Viking Experience. Can you believe this shit? But yeah, all in all, it was a okay match. It was an entertaining match. Then we had Finn Balor. He came out and he had a match with a superstar that came up to Raw in the Shakeup. And that is Andrade Cien Almas. And also Zelina Vega came along with him because Andrade is her business associate. So both Andrade, Cien Almas, and Zelina Vega are now part of the Raw roster. So they came out. Zelina Vega is on the mic. She ends up introducing herself to everybody, and also her business partner, which is, of course, Andrade Cien Almas. And Zelina ends up mockingly putting Finn over before talking, you know, about Andrade and his talents. And she talks about how, you know, they don't speak English as a first language, you know, in Montreal. And she ends up passing the mic to Andrade. Andrade ends up cutting the promo in Spanish. We couldn't even understand what he was saying. The crowd was going, what? What? So it was a very long promo from Andrade Cien Almas. And then we had the match, Andrade Cien Almas versus Finn Balor. Sorry about that, but I was saying we had the match, Andrade Cien Almas versus Finn Balor, which, you know, wasn't a bad match in my opinion. It was back and forth between the both of them. The wrestling here, you know, was okay, was decent. Andrade ended up getting the win. He ended up hitting the hammerlock DDT to Finn Balor. And on the outside, you had Zelina Vega do the Hurricanrana on Balor, and the ref didn't even see it. And that's when Andrade ended up hitting the hammerlock DDT to Balor to score the win. So Andrade Cien Almas ends up winning the match. So, all in all, it was an okay match. You know, I'm happy that Andrade got the win, though. But I'm kind of afraid. I'm kind of afraid what they're gonna do. What they're gonna do with Andrade on Raw. Probably make him how, you know, he was on SmackDown. So, and then we go to Elias. He was out there. He was out in the ring. He plays, you know, a few bars of the Undertaker's theme. And he ends up talking about how his music is so powerful that it brought back both the Doctor of Thugonomics and John Cena, and how John Cena ruined his second WrestleMania. And he talks about how his music is so powerful that he brought the Undertaker back. And he goes on to say, why do these legends interrupt his legend? He ends up saying that it could be jealousy, but it runs deeper than that. And that's when he goes on to say, his shit tick, where he goes, WWE stands for Walk with Elias. And he says he's got a real special song tonight. He says, and anybody that interrupts won't ever be able to show their face again. And so we had another superstar that is coming to the Raw roster in the shakeup. And that superstar was Rey Mysterio. So Rey Mysterio ended up coming out. He comes back on Raw. He ends up, taking out Elias. He's laying strikes on Elias. He goes to the apron, shoulder thrusts Elias. He does a springboard but slips, I guess, on that injured leg. So Rey Mysterio, was not fully healed from his injury. So he botched that. Rey Mysterio botched that because of his leg injury. And he manages to get up. He drop kicks Elias out to the floor. And he does a 619 as a feint. And Elias, runs away. So Rey Mysterio was still in the ring. And then out comes Lars Sullivan. Lars Sullivan ends up making his way out. He gets in the ring. And, he goes to beat up on Mysterio. But Mysterio ends up, keeping Lars Sullivan away from him. Rey Mysterio goes off the ropes. Lars finally catches Mysterio. Lars ends up laying out Mysterio with the freak accident, which is his signature move. And Lars ends up, striking Mysterio with the powerbomb. And that's how it ended. So Lars Sullivan last week on Raw took down Kurt Angle. Then the next night on SmackDown, he took down the Hardy Boys. And now this week he ends up taking down Rey Mysterio. It's like they're giving Lars Sullivan, a chance to take down, all these old superstars. So, but that's what Lars Sullivan did. So that's how the segment ended. But happy to see Mysterio back on Raw. But the whole thing with poor Elias, it's the same shit every single week. It's boring. It's uninteresting. So and it's fucking tiring. It's tiring every single week. So then we had Bobby Roode and Chad Gable. They were out. Bobby Roode says, it's the Superstar Shakeup, and that there was a lot of changes tonight. He says the one thing that will not change is him and Gable can defeat any tag team in the WWE. And Chad Gable says, choose and we are in the game tonight. And he goes on to say he doesn't care where they come from. Where these tag teams come from. Raw, SmackDown, or NXT. And they want to do something. So, Gable was like, oh, come on out. And so, new tag team that was from SmackDown came to Raw in the shakeup. And that tag team are the Usos. Yes, Jimmy and Jay are on Raw now, officially in the Superstar Shakeup, because I knew that they were gonna be going to Raw, and I gotta point out, if anybody saw this, they actually spoiled it when Bobby Roode and Chad Gable were in the ring, because it said the Usos in the the graphics. They messed up saying Bobby Roode and Chad Gable, but it said the Usos on. I don't know if any of you spotted that, but WWE spoiled that shit right there. So, but I knew that the Usos were going to go to Raw, because they pretty much did everything with the tag teams on SmackDown. They went through every tag team that was on it's on SmackDown, from the Bar to Gallows and Anderson, the New Day. The Usos went through everybody on SmackDown's tag team division. So, but then we had the Usos versus Gable and Roode tag team match. This match was boring. This match was shit. Didn't really care for it. It was a slow match. But the Usos ended up winning. The Usos ended up hitting the double splash to Gable and Roode. So the Usos end up winning. There you go. It's a boring match, in my opinion. And then we had, more bore right here. Alexa Bliss for a moment of bliss, a moment of piss. And Alexa says, this may be her last night on Raw. And she ends up introducing her guest for this moment of piss. And her guest is Sami Zayn. Of course, this was in Sami Zayn's, hometown. Got a big pop from the crowd. And the crowd's, having fun with Sami Zayn. Sami Zayn was having fun with the crowd. And they were playing his theme music like 3 times. Because the crowd, was loving it. And even, Sami, looked like he was loving it. So, Sami's like, oh, I'm going to kick it up a notch with the crowd, which the crowd, was popped, really loud for him. And so Alexa says, to Sami Zayn that, he returned last week to Raw, and that, it's great to see him back. Sami ends up saying that, he's been in the city all week. He goes on to say that he loves the city, but he can't stand the people. And he was like, he doesn't really want to be here tonight. And also do Alexa's show, which Alexa ends up saying to him, how rude. He says, see, the crowd projects all their issues onto Sami, and that, he's not accepting it. Sami ends up saying that he thinks it's disgusting, and that the crowd should all be ashamed of themselves. The people should be ashamed of themselves. And Alexa asks, if Sami really thinks that, and if he goes to bat for the people, in Montreal. Sami says, he was born here, but the people, they are not his people. And he goes on to say he doesn't even live in Montreal anymore. He has, a house down in Orlando. And he says he chooses to leave, just like he chooses to leave right now. And so the crowd ends up, waving to him, doing the na-na-na-na, na-na-na-na, hey, 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 goodbye. And that's how, the segment ended. But it was a whatever segment. It was boring. But I did like the crowd reaction that, Sami got. in his hometown. I mean, that was the only best part of this segment, though. Was Sami getting that big pop from the crowd. Then we had the Iconics, Peyton, Royce, and Billie Kay versus Bayley and another woman superstar who is also coming from SmackDown to Raw in the Superstar Shakeup, and that woman was Naomi. So Naomi is now part of the Raw Women's division, and so it was Bayley and Naomi versus Peyton, Royce, and Billie Kay. Because there was a video that happened on WWE.com where Bayley was trying to get in touch with Sasha, and the Iconics ended up coming in, just trash talking about Sasha and Bayley, and so Bayley was like, if you want to have a match, I'll find a partner of my choosing. And so her partner was Naomi. And the match itself, it was short. Nothing special, nothing great happened. Bayley and Naomi end up winning the match. Bayley ended up hitting the Bayley to belly on Peyton Royce. Naomi ended up hitting that split leg moonsault to Billie Kay. Naomi went for the pin, and so Bayley and Naomi end up winning the match. But all in all, meh match. Then we have Becky Lynch versus Ruby Riott. This match itself, it was meh at best. Becky Lynch ended up getting the win. Ended up blocking in the Disarmer on Ruby Riott. Ruby ended up tapping, and you had of course, Liv Morgan, Sarah Logan out there, which Becky Lynch ended up taking out both Liv Morgan and Sarah Logan. But after the match, Becky Lynch ended up giving the Beck Exploder to Sarah Logan and also one to Liv Morgan. And that was what happened after the match, though. But Becky versus Ruby, it was meh match. Sorry about that, but I was saying, Becky Lynch and Ruby Riott, meh match, in my opinion. Then we had Charlie Caruso. She was interviewing Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley, and Drew McIntyre about the main event because it was them three versus Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and a partner, a mystery partner, which I guess though. But Drew McIntyre ends up saying, he doesn't give a damn about Seth Rollins, and the only thing that he cares about is getting his hands on Roman. And Corbin says Seth and Roman are riding high, but he's the guy that ran Kurt Angle out of WWE, and yet he's still going on about that. And he says tonight they're going to run through Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. They're going to run Seth Rollins and Roman off of Raw. And so Lio Rush says, the question you have to ask is, who's stupid enough to team against Lashley? And that's how, the interview ended. So we had, of course, a 6-man tag team match, which was the main event. And then we had Natalya come out. Natalya comes out. Becky is still in the ring. Natalya ends up congratulating Becky on her win tonight. She also congratulates her on her win at WrestleMania. And Natalya says, she has dreamed her entire life of main event in WrestleMania. And Becky, Ronda, and Charlotte did it. She says to Becky that, she is the first person to pin Ronda and win the Raw and SmackDown titles in one night. Natalya says, she's here to look her in the eye and let her know that she is coming after the Raw Women's Championship. And Becky Lynch says, okay. And she says she spent years in the trenches with underappreciated women like Natalya. She goes on to say, the second she held the two titles up, she knew those overlooked women would hunt her down, just like she did Ronda and Charlotte. And she was like, that's the nature of this business. Becky says they traveled the world as teenagers, just trying to get a foot in the door. And look at them now. And so Lacey Evans ends up coming out. She's in her ring gear. And I'm like, okay. She's not, there waving and smiling, walking down the ramp, waving, smiling. Which she ended up stopping. And she ends up saying, these nasties need to stop discussing a title match amongst themselves. Because a lady knows how to curry favor and get exactly what she wants. And she goes on to announce that she's officially on Monday Night Raw. So, there you go. Lacey Evans is officially on Raw. And she goes on to say what she wants is the Raw Women's Championship. She goes on to say, as per the McMahons, she has the authority to tell Natalya that they'll be wrestling in a #1 contenders match for that title. And so we end up having a match. Finally, WWE ends up booking Lacey Evans in a match, when the last we saw her in the ring was in the Women's Royal Rumble, which that was back in January. So for 3.5 months, all Lacey Evans was doing was waving and posing, walking down the ramp. So you give her a #1 contenders match right away for the Raw Women's Championship. Right then and there. Where she wasn't doing nothing for 3.5 months. That's WWE creative right there. Oh yeah, before I get to Lacey Evans versus Natalya, I forgot to mention EC3. Yes, EC3 was on Raw tonight. And, he wanted competition. And Braun Strowman ended up coming down. And this wasn't an official match. So Braun Strowman ended up coming down. Started being down on EC3. Tosses EC3 around the ring. EC3's out on the floor. Braun Strowman shoulder tackles him. They go up on the stage. Strowman throws EC3 into the LED board. And then Strowman slams EC3 through the announce table. Yes, that was what happened tonight. But yeah, EC3 is a jobber. He's officially a jobber. So there you go. That's what WWE is doing with EC3 now. I read an article. WWE, when they bought up EC3 from NXT, he was dead on arrival. And that's what WWE thought, that about EC3, that when they brought him up to the main roster, he was going to be dead on arrival. And it just proves it. So that's what happened. EC3 got destroyed by Braun Strowman, which happened earlier. So now we'll get to Lacey Evans and Natalya, which Lacey Evans here, she was decent. She's good in the ring. Really like Lacey Evans' background. And her gimmick is very original, and I like Lacey Evans' backstory. Outside of what she did before she got into wrestling. You could look it up though. But she did a decent job in this match, with Natalya. But Lacey Evans ended up getting the win. She ended up hitting a moonsault, a really cool-looking moonsault, onto Natalya. So Lacey Evans wins the match. She gets to face Becky Lynch for the Raw Women's Championship. But yeah, right then and there, already they give Lacey Evans a title shot. Then we had Charlie Caruso. She ended up interviewing Roman and Seth about their third partner. And Seth plays it like, he's going to give it away, which he ends up telling Charlie, you just got to wait. Same as Roman. Roman says, everybody's got to wait. And Seth admits, this is the honeymoon phase and that life's good. He goes on to say he's champion, and his brother, of course he's referring to Roman, is back and better than ever. And he goes on to say for their opponents tonight, life isn't going to be so good. And they're not going to forget about how Dean Ambrose was treated by Bobby Lashley last week. And Reigns says they're going to tear it down in Montreal. So that was the little interview with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. Then we got to the main event. Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns versus Drew McIntyre, Baron Corbin, Bobby Lashley 6-man tag team match with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns' mystery opponent. And this was another superstar from SmackDown. And pretty much, basically, all the the shakeup was all the SmackDown big talent going to Raw. So Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns' mystery opponent was AJ Styles. Yes, AJ Styles is on Raw now. He's part of the Raw roster with the shakeup. And it's a big loss for SmackDown, because AJ Styles always says SmackDown was the house that he built. So now he's probably gonna say, oh, Raw is gonna be phenomenal. Yeah, we all say that every week. We always say, oh yeah, we always hope Raw is phenomenal every week, and it's not. So yeah, SmackDown losing AJ Styles, it's a big loss. So the match itself, it was decent. It was okay. It was back and forth between them. Styles worked really cool with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, and AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, and Roman, of course, end up winning the match. We had Seth end up hitting the curb stomp to Bobby Lashley, Roman ended up hearing the spear to Lashley. Sorry about that, but I was saying, Roman ended up hitting the spear to Lashley, and the Styles end up hitting the phenomenal forearm to Lashley, and Styles went for the pin. AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, and Roman Reigns end up winning the match. But match itself, it was decent. So that's how Monday Night Raw ended tonight. So that was it. That was your Monday Night Raw for tonight. So, but it looks like like SmackDown. They Raw got pretty much basically SmackDown's interested in talents. Like Andrade, Cien, Almas. AJ Styles, of course. AJ Styles is a big loss for SmackDown. The Miz. And there was 2 more that they announced for Monday Night Raw. Cedric Alexander is going to be coming to Raw. And also Eric Young. Which, now that Eric Young is coming to Raw, Sanity is broken up. So it's a shame. It's a shame what WWE has done with Sanity. They don't use them, and then when they do, it's little, it's occasionally, and then you break them up. Have Eric Young go to Raw, which Eric Young, think he might do decent on Raw if WWE books him right. I can see him winning the Intercontinental Championship. I can see him being Intercontinental Champion. But, who knows? Who knows what WWE is going to do? So, yes, anyways, that's it for my review of tonight's Monday Night Raw. Thank you all for watching. Hope you all enjoyed this review. And definitely give this video a thumbs up. Comment, subscribe. And the next video will, of course, be the SmackDown review, but not going to be tomorrow night because, I'm working late Tuesday nights now. So the SmackDown review will be uploaded later this week if I could get a chance to. Of course, I'm going to DVR record it. I'm not looking at spoilers to see what happens, to see which superstars are going to SmackDown in the shakeup. So, yes, anyways, that's it for this video. And until the SmackDown review, whenever that's uploaded, I'll see you all later.